Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gathering here today. It's a privilege to stand before you, united in our shared quest for growth, achievement, and purpose. Today, I want to talk about something that is integral to every great life story: risk. Our theme is simple yet profound: no risk, no story. In every person's life, there comes a moment when they must make a decision that will define the course of their future. These decisions are often shrouded in uncertainty, but they hold the potential to transform lives. As we stand on the edge of change, teetering between comfort and the unknown, one truth becomes abundantly clear. Without risk, there is no story worth telling. Risk. The word alone can stir feelings of fear, hesitation, and anxiety. It's human nature to want to avoid danger, to sidestep anything that may cause harm or lead us down a path of difficulty. But here's the paradox. The most fulfilling, awe-inspiring stories in human history have always been written by those who were willing to embrace risk. And I want to show you today that every time you face risk, you are staring at the opportunity to write your own incredible story. Think for a moment about the great achievements of humankind. The explorers who sailed into the vast unknown seas, not knowing whether they would ever see land again. The scientists who dared to question the established norms, risking ridicule and rejection from their peers. The entrepreneurs who invested everything they had into ideas that had no guarantee of success. The athletes who pushed their bodies to the brink of collapse, unsure if they will break records or break themselves. Would we remember Christopher Columbus if he hadn't taken the risk of sailing west, believing against the odds that he could reach new lands? Would we be inspired by Marie Curie if she had played it safe, staying in her lane rather than diving into the mysterious and dangerous world of radiation? Would we admire Michael Jordan if he had never taken the risk of returning to basketball after leaving to pursue a career in baseball? Behind every legend, behind every trailblazer, there is a leap of faith. There's a moment when they could have stayed comfortable, continued with the status quo, and lived an average life. But they didn't. They stepped into the unknown, took the risk, and in doing so, created a legacy that outlived their time on Earth. No risk, no story. But let's bring this closer to home. You don't have to be an explorer, a scientist, or a world-class athlete to understand the importance of risk. You just need to look at your own life. Every decision you've ever made that has brought you closer to your dreams involved risk. Perhaps it was applying for a job you didn't think you were qualified for. Maybe it was moving to a new city where you didn't know a soul. Perhaps it was starting a business that could have easily failed. Or it might have been as personal as opening your heart to love again after experiencing heartbreak. In each of these situations, you faced a choice. Stay where you are, safe but unchallenged, or step into uncertainty with no guarantee of success. Each time you chose the latter, you grew, you learned, and whether you succeeded or failed, your life became richer, more textured, more profound because you dared to take that risk. Now, I want to make something very clear. Risk does not always mean recklessness. It's not about charging forward without any thought, hoping things will just work out. Risk, when taken wisely, is calculated. It's informed by your values, your desires, and your goals. It's about recognizing that every meaningful journey comes with challenges and obstacles, but accepting those difficulties as part of the process rather than something to be avoided. When we talk about risk, we're talking about the courage to face uncertainty with a firm belief in yourself. It's about trusting that even if things don't work out exactly as planned, you will grow from the experience. You will adapt. You will find a way. Because here's the truth: growth only happens outside your comfort zone. If you're not risking anything, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're not really living. One of the greatest misconceptions we have is that a safe, predictable life is a good life. But think about the stories that move you, the ones that captivate your imagination and stir your soul. Are they stories of people who played it safe? Are they stories of people who lived in comfort, never stepping out of their bubble of security? No. The stories that resonate with us are the ones where people dared to take a risk. Even if you fail, and let's be honest, failure is always a possibility when you take a risk, you've gained something invaluable: experience. Failure is not the end of the road. It's a stepping stone. It teaches you resilience. It sharpens your skills. It reveals your strengths and weaknesses. Some of the most successful people in history have failed more times than they've succeeded. But the difference between them and those who never reach their potential is that they didn't let failure define them. They let it refine them. Let me share a personal story with you. Like many of you, I've faced moments where I stood at the edge of risk. There were times when it would have been so much easier to stay in my comfort zone. Times when I wanted to say, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe it's safer to just stick with what I know. But every time I chose to step forward into the unknown, even when I was scared, even when I wasn't sure of the outcome, something remarkable happened. I grew. I learned things about myself that I never would have discovered had I stayed where it was comfortable. And that's what I want for each of you. I want you to experience the thrill of growth, the excitement of possibility, the power of your own resilience. I want you to write a story for your life that is filled with chapters of bold decisions, moments of bravery, and the kind of richness that only comes from taking risks. So how do we do this? How do we cultivate the mindset of someone who embraces risk rather than avoids it? First, we must change our relationship with fear. Fear is a natural response to risk, but it doesn't have to paralyze us. Instead, let fear be a guide. Fear often points to the very thing that will challenge and grow you the most. If something scares you, it's likely because it matters to you. Use that fear as fuel, as a signal that you're about to do something important. Second, trust in your ability to adapt. You don't need to know all the answers before you take a risk. You don't need a guarantee that everything will go perfectly. You just need to trust that you will figure it out as you go. Humans are incredibly resilient and resourceful. When faced with challenges, we have an innate ability to rise to the occasion. Third, surround yourself with people who encourage risk-taking. The company you keep has a profound impact on your mindset. If you surround yourself with people who are constantly afraid of change, who only ever take the safe route, you will likely adopt that same mindset. But if you surround yourself with dreamers, with doers, with people who have taken risks and live to tell the tale, their courage will inspire you to be courageous too. Fourth, remember that no risk is too small. Every risk you take, no matter how minor it may seem, strengthens your risk-taking muscle. Start small if you need to. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting when you usually stay silent. Maybe it's trying something new that you've never done before. Each small risk builds your capacity for bigger risks down the line. Fifth, redefine success and failure. Success isn't always about the outcome. Sometimes success is simply having the courage to try. And failure isn't something to be ashamed of. Failure is proof that you were brave enough to take a risk. Every failure brings you one step closer to success. Each one is a lesson, a chance to improve and grow. As we continue exploring the idea of no risk, no story, I want you to reflect on the pivotal moments in your life. Think of every meaningful chapter, every breakthrough that changed the trajectory of your life. I can guarantee that behind each one of those moments was a risk. Whether it was leaving a job, deciding to go back to school, starting a new relationship, or investing in a dream. Each decision carried with it an element of uncertainty. Yet, these moments became defining, not because they were easy, but because you stepped into the unknown. Risk is not something that should be feared, but something that should be embraced. It is the gateway to possibility. Imagine living in a world where no one took risks. There would be no innovation, no discovery, no progress. The technologies we rely on, the businesses we support, the medical breakthroughs we celebrate. All of these exist because someone dared to take a chance. They faced failure head-on and chose to move forward anyway. In a way, risk is like a bridge. On one side is where you are now, safe, comfortable, perhaps even content. But on the other side is where your potential lies. Crossing that bridge requires courage. It requires faith in your ability to handle whatever comes next. But if you never take that step, you remain stuck in place, always wondering what could have been. Think about the people in your life who you admire. Are they people who avoided risk? Or are they people who took a leap of faith, despite not knowing how things would turn out? More often than not, it's the latter. The people we respect, the ones who leave a mark on this world, are those who had the courage to risk failure in pursuit of something greater. They didn't allow fear to dictate their decisions, and in doing so, they created lives full of richness, purpose, and meaning. You see, risk isn't just about the potential for success. It's about the opportunity for growth. Every time you take a risk, you open yourself up to learning something new about the world, about others, and most importantly, about yourself. You discover strengths you didn't know you had. You develop resilience. You learn how to pick yourself up after a fall and keep moving forward. These are invaluable lessons, and they can only be learned through experience. Risk also opens the door to creativity. When you take a risk, you're forced to think outside the box, to come up with solutions to challenges you hadn't anticipated. This sparks innovation and allows you to approach problems in ways you wouldn't have considered if you had stayed in your comfort zone. Some of the greatest innovations in history have come from people who took a risk and found creative solutions to the challenges they encountered. Of course, the idea of risk comes with the fear of failure. But failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey. It's how we learn. Every failure teaches you something valuable, whether it's a new approach, a better strategy, or a deeper understanding of yourself. In fact, many of the most successful people in the world have failed more times than they've succeeded. The difference is that they didn't let failure stop them. They saw it as a stepping stone on the path to success. Let's also talk about how risk influences relationships. Whether it's professional or personal, every meaningful relationship involves some level of risk. Opening yourself up to someone, trusting them, and allowing yourself to be vulnerable can be incredibly daunting. But without that risk, there can be no true connection, no deep bond. The relationships that matter most in our lives are the ones where both parties took the risk of being authentic, of sharing their true selves. These are the relationships that give our lives meaning. Taking risks also builds self-confidence. Each time you step outside your comfort zone, you prove to yourself that you are capable. You start to realize that you can handle more than you thought you could. This newfound confidence spills over into every area of your life, empowering you to take on even greater challenges and risks in the future. Let's be clear, avoiding risk doesn't eliminate it. Life itself is inherently risky. Every day, we face uncertainties. The difference is, when you choose to embrace risk, you are the one in control. You are making the decision to step into the unknown, rather than being forced into it by circumstances. This sense of agency is empowering. It gives you ownership over your life and your story. Think about it. When you look back on your life, do you want to remember a series of safe, predictable moments? Or do you want to remember the times when you took a leap of faith, even when it scared you? The times when you didn't know what the outcome would be, but you moved forward anyway because something inside you knew it was worth the risk. The truth is, everything you want in life is on the other side of fear. The career you dream of, the relationships you crave, the experiences you long for, they all require you to take a risk. And the more risks you take, the more confident you become in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Each risk builds on the last, creating a momentum that propels you forward. It's also important to understand that not all risks are equal. Some risks are calculated, others are reckless. The key is learning to differentiate between the two. Calculated risk involves research, preparation, and thoughtful decision-making. It's about weighing the potential rewards against the potential losses and making an informed choice. Reckless risk, on the other hand, is jumping into something without thinking it through. It's important to take smart risks, but even smart risks carry uncertainty. That's part of what makes them so powerful. Now, I'm not saying that taking risks is easy. It's not. It can be terrifying. But what's even scarier is the thought of reaching the end of your life and realizing you never truly lived because you were too afraid to take a chance. Don't let fear dictate your story. Don't let the fear of failure or the unknown hold you back from pursuing your dreams. Think of your life as a book. You are the author. Every decision you make, every risk you take, adds to the narrative. You have the power to make your story one of adventure, growth, and triumph. But if you never take any risks, your story will be short, uneventful, and predictable. So, ask yourself, what kind of story do you want to write? Finally, always remember, no risk, no story. The life you want, the dreams you hold close to your heart, will not come without challenges. They will not come without uncertainty. But if you're willing to step into the unknown, to risk failure in the pursuit of something greater, your life will become a masterpiece. A story of resilience, courage, growth, and triumph. The question I leave you with today is simple. What story do you want to write? Will it be a story of playing it safe? Or will it be a story of bold risks and incredible rewards? The choice is yours. Thank you.